In the good or bad part of this college town, men in business suits that chase you down. You take their money just like you take mine. You send it bubbling down the thin blue line. It doesn't matter how it got this way, 'cause we could make it through this thing together. I know you're laughing, but I got to say, now I still want you maybe more than ever. No fooling, it's a fucked up world. So be cool, my little junkie girl. The cops are out to shut the district down. I comb the ruins of your stomping grounds. Standing Street looking like that Third World War. You come up blazing like an open sore. Now I believe you, but I got to know, how come the right side of your brain is hurting? So take me with you, baby, when you go through to the white side of your China curtain. No fooling, it's a fucked up world. So be cool, my little junkie girl. In the good old bad part of this college town, gray men in limousines that drive you down. You take their money just like you take mine. What does it do you on that thin blue line? Now I can hardly hear you anymore. Your eyes are empty and your voice is hollow. I see you waving from a distant shore, and where you're going I don't dare to follow. No fooling, that's another world. So good luck, my little junkie girl. Alone in my cave, cornflakes and camels, the long restless shadows of my life. None but the brave Jim Beam and Jack Daniels, Channel hopping these empty days and nights. Glued to my screen, rerun by rerun, the dark outer limits of my soul. Stranded between green acres of my good intentions, in the twilight zone of zero self-control. So come on, angel, tune in on me. You see a faithful servant lost in misery, and all of your hard work coming down to no good. You better see about me, babe, if you only could now, girlfriend. If it can't be you, I don't even have anyone to tell my story to. I said, girlfriend, if it can't be you, girlfriend, if it can't be you, I don't even have anyone to tell my story to. I said, girlfriend, if it can't be you, dust and despair, cobwebs and confusion collected in the corners of my room. All of my dreams, bitter illusions, I just can't be rid of them too soon. Tired of my brain, tired of this movie, too tired to get up and shut it off. Time that remains, what good can it do me now that I know that too much is not enough? But wait a minute, baby, what about my heart? Was it your idea to take it all apart, to put it all back together, just one piece at a time? Now it's down to you, darling, and that's why I'm all girlfriend. If it can't be you, I don't even have anyone to tell my story to. I said, girlfriend, if it can't be you, girlfriend, if it can't be you, I don't even have anyone to tell my story to. I said, girlfriend, if it can't be you. I'm pulling in a picture now, up off of my back pages, and all at once I'm privy to the entire grim design of a great civilization in the terminal stages of a slow but steady mental, moral, spiritual decline. And so it goes, thus it is written, and all I want to know is, where does a guy like me fit in? So I'm visualizing a cute little bunny with a fluffy white tail and long gray floppy ears. He looks up at me and says, Doc, don't you worry. All you got to do is to hide in here. Hide in here. Hide in here. Over here. Hide here. No, hide here. Hide in here. Hide over here. Over here. Hide here. No, hide here. Hide in here. Hide in here. And all you gotta do, girl, now is to just say when you might consider bringing your sweetness round here again. Now, girlfriend, if it can't be you, I don't even have anyone to tell my story to. I said, girlfriend, if it can't be you, girlfriend, if it can't be you, I don't even have anyone to tell my story to. I said, girlfriend, if it can't be you, girlfriend, if it can't be you, I don't even have anyone to tell my story to. I said, whatever happened to my college belle? When did she turn into the wife from hell? Hey, little Cringemaker, what are we coming to? My little Cringemaker, what have they done to you? beginning, we rode high on the hog. Down in the kitchen now it's dog eat dog. Oh, little Cringemaker up on the second floor. My little Cringemaker who locked the bedroom door. Sweet little Cringemaker. Sweet little Cringemaker. We go to Vegas with the folks next door. Now they're not talking to us anymore. Oh, little Cringemaker, now 5 will get you 10. Sweet little Cringemaker, you broke the bank again. She tells her girlfriends how I'm built for speed. Now they're all laughing at the guarantee. Oh, little Cringemaker, this time you hurt my pride. Say, little Cringemaker, where am I gonna hide? Sweet little Cringemaker. Sweet little Cringemaker. Nobody told us when we started out just what this life was really all about. I tell you one thing that I know is true. If I could do it all over, I would still do it all over you. My little Cringemaker. Calls me daddy and I just go numb. Down in the bottom where the love comes from. Oh, little Cringemaker, what happened on the way? My little Cringemaker, to where we are today. I try to figure but I'm way too dumb. How we got here from where we started from. Oh, little Cringemaker, I guess we always knew. My little Cringemaker, who we would turn into. Sweet, sweet little. Cringemaker. goodbye, girl. We'll get over the things we've done and the things we said. Not just now when I can't remember exactly what it was we thought we had. 'Cause I waited so long, girl, and I came so far to find out you're not always who you say you are. Now there's a star in the book of liars by your name. They put a star in the book of liars by your name. Santa Claus came home late last night, drunk on Christmas wine. Fell down hard out in the driveway, hung his bag out on the laundry line. But there's a Cobra gunship for his golden boy. There's a Hello Kitty for his pride and joy, and a silver star in the book of liars by your name. They hung a star in the book of liars by your name. Stars imploding, time eroding, electrons dancing in the frozen crystal dawn. Here's one left stranded at the zero crossing, with the whole of his half-life left to carry on. But now the world's much larger than it looks today, and when my bad luck ever blows me back this way, I'm gonna look in my book of liars for your name. Yeah, I'm gonna look in the book of liars for your name. We come in on the morning scan, all the way from far Arcturus. bringing with us peace and goodwill from the margins of space and time. Our women are slung down low to the ground. They're very good, you probably had one. Our men are brave, studly and wise, a pleasure to behold. Right away we walk that walk, and more or less we talk the talk. But every time we make our play, the eyes get wide and we run away. The hat stays too flat, my hat is way too flat. My English, she is much better now, but my hat is just too flat. The man smells a rat, and that's the end of that. My English, it is more better now, but my hat is still too flat. Oh. Fair Arcturus fashion forecast. Skirts will be shorter, legs stay long. Virtual raincoats are coming back. Hats as always continue flat. Back at home the machines work hard. We folk like to take it easy, honing our awareness of the finer things in life. Here when I go down to my job, I work hard for what seems like a long time. I look at my watch, 15 minutes, it felt like half a day. But soon enough we break for lunch, me and the boys, now I'm one of the bunch. No one wants to sit with me. Tell me what can the matter be? The hat stays too flat, my hat is way too flat. My English, she is much better now, but my hat is still too flat. A little thing like that, they don't get past the hat. My English, it is more better now, but my hat remains too flat. The hat stays too flat, my hat is way too flat. My English, it is much better now, but my hat is still too flat. A little thing like that, they don't go past the hat. My English, it is more better now, but my hat remains too flat. Ow!
When rocking the street. Sleep on the beach and make it. Go down the jam till the girls say when. Lay down the law and break it. Josie comes home. When Josie comes home, so good. She's the pride of the neighborhood. She's the raw flame, live wire. She prays like a Roman with her eyes on fire. Joe, would you love to scrap her? She'll never say no. Shine up the battle apple, shake 'em all down tonight. Mix in the street, strike up the stroke of midnight. Hands on the bones till the girls say when. Pick up what's left by then. When Josie comes home. When Josie comes home, so bad. She's the best friend we ever had. She's the raw flame, live wire. Plays like a Roman with her eyes on fire. When Josie comes home, so good. She's the pride of the neighborhood. She's the raw flame, live wire. She prays like a Roman with her eyes on fire.
Thank you.
Well, I've kicked around a lot since high school. I've worked a lot in nowhere gigs. Keyboard man in a rockin' ska band, hauling bars, screwed in the big rigs. I've come back home to plan my next move, the comfort of my Aunt Faye's couch. See my little cousin Janine log in, but all I could say was ouch. Honey, how you grown like a rose. Well, we used to play when we were 3. How about a kiss for your cousin Dupree? How about a kiss for your cousin Dupree? She turned my life into a living hell in those little tops and tight capris. I pretended to be reading the National Probe as I was watching her wax release. Saturday night she walks in with a date and backs him up against the wall. I tumbled off the couch and heard myself sing in a voice I never knew I had before. Honey, how you grown like a rose. We used to play when we were 3. How about a kiss for your cousin Dupree? How about a kiss for your cousin Dupree? Teach you everything I know. Teach me how to do that dance. Life is short and quid pro quo. What's so about a down-home family romance. Playing gin by a crackling fire, decided to make my play. Instead of babe with my bondage and good looks, how can you stand it for one more day? Maybe it's the skeevy look in your eyes, your mind has turned to applesauce. The dreary architecture of your soul, I said, tell me what exactly turns you off. Honey, how you grown like a rose. We used to play when we were free. How about a kiss for your cousin Dupree? 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 I said ooh, ee. How about a kiss for your cousin Dupree? I said ooh. For your cousin Dupree. How about a kiss? How about a kiss for your cousin? How about a kiss? How about a kiss for your cousin Dupree? How about a kiss? I said, how about a kiss for your cousin? How about a kiss? I said, how about a kiss for your cousin Dupree?
You know, we used to live in Los Angeles. Me and Donald there. Long time ago. And when we came out here, I mean, we couldn't drive. We didn't know what a hamburger was. We had never had Johnson's chocolate yogurt before. We didn't know what Vons was, or Gelson's, or Chalet Gourmet, or White Oak Avenue, or Sherman Oaks, or Laurel Canyon, or any of that shit. But we found out, we figured it out pretty quick, and it turns out that it was a damn nice place to live. Back in the day. People were easier going then, you know? They'd stop for you when you cross the street. They, you know, there was no bumper stickers that said, this car protected by Smith & Wesson, or, you know, anything like that, you know? And I had great old jokes in those days, like, oh, well, I'll tell you what anyway. What's the difference between broccoli and boogers? That was a California joke. You never saw anybody eating broccoli on the freeway. Yeah. Things are different then. But I'll tell you one thing that's still the same, and that is good music is good music. And, you know, if I may paraphrase the great German philosopher Nietzsche, say, without music, life would be a mistake. No doubt this is the case. And which is my way of getting around to saying that, as far as I'm concerned, right here, right now, we have everything we need. We have you wonderful Steely Dan fans who are the best fucking people in the world.
First of all, why don't you tell us why you're in Hawaii? What exactly is the deal behind that?
I live here.
You just permanently changed your address there, huh?
That's right.
Oh, okay. And what sort of musical activities have you been pursuing, say, for the past decade or so?
Let's see, the last decade. Well, I produced a number of albums for various people, and I'm in the midst of making my own album. And that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Like, what sort of acts were you producing?
Well, I did an album for Ricky Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I did some sides for Michael Franks. I did a English band called China Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a variety of jazz artists, including Bob Shepard, John Beasley, Andy Laverne, Dave Kokoski, Marty Crystal. Let's see, who else? Who am I leaving out? Jeff Beal, good trumpet player named Jeff Beal,
Mm-hmm.
a band called The Lost Tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and so on.
So I guess a lot of jazz people have sought you out then, huh?
Well, I kind of decided that was an ideal sort of thing for me to be working on because of the kind of music involved and the way it's done. You know, it all happens at once. It's kind of exciting and entertaining for me. And it's the kind of music that I've always loved.
Hmm. Okay, well, now that we've got some of those details out of the way, do you care to touch briefly on this this upcoming record, the solo record? What exactly can we expect?
You know, just the usual songs, sort of songs I wrote.
Uh-huh. I mean, who's playing on it, first of all?
Oh, I'm playing on it. Donald's on a couple of cuts. A couple of guys from the Lost Tribe band. John Beasley, Dean Parks.
Does it reflect more of the Steely Dan side of Walter Becker, or is it more the jazz producer side, or what exactly can we look forward to?
Kind of, it's an amalgam of various things.
Mm-hmm. Would it be the type of thing they'd play on like pop radio now, or is it more?
Well, I certainly hope so.
Yeah. So it will be.
Yeah, no, it's songs with lyrics and that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Pop music.
So not genre-wise, not that far from what Donald has been doing.
Well, I'll let you be the judge of that when it comes out.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's get to the Dan then.
Okay.
You guys have been touring.
Yeah, we toured for 6 weeks this summer.
And who exactly was in the band?
Well, it was an 11-piece band, including myself and Donald, Peter Erskine on drums,
Mm-hmm.
3 saxophone players, including Bob Shepard, Cornelius Bumpus, and Chris Potter. A bass player named Tom Barney, excellent bass player.
Mm-hmm.
Piano player named Warren Bernhardt.
Mm-hmm.
Bob's player named Bill Ware.
Mm-hmm.
Second guitar player named Drew Zing.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 singers, Catherine Russell, Diane Garisto, and Brenda King.
How did you arrive at those members?
Well, they're people that, some of them were people that Donald had worked with in the Rock and Soul Review. Others were people that I had done records with and so on. And others were just people that we had heard but never worked with.
Mm-hmm. And what's your opinion of the actual live performance? Did it work? Did it meet your expectations?
Oh yeah, it was very satisfying. A very exciting band to play in.
Who initiated the idea? Was Donald sort of sparked by the New York Rock and Soul Review? Or?
Right, the New York Rock and Soul Review. Donald's manager took the opportunity to set up this little tour the summer before last, and it kind of, I think his idea was to show Donald and myself that it could be quite a bit of fun to do something like this, and that would be very different from what we've done in the past. You know, the touring memories that we have from the 70s would be able to do much better and have much more fun, and he was right.
Yeah, well, I guess you stopped touring in '74, which would mean anything from, say, the 3rd or 4th album on has never really been performed live. Had never been.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
a lot like the Paul McCartney situation now, where he takes a lot of the Beatles stuff on the road, and that's also seeing the live day for the first time.
right.
So what worked live? I mean, what for example, did you think would work live, and what actually went over well?
Well, we pretty much trimmed the show to be just things that really worked pretty well. we had many songs to choose from, and after we did the first couple of shows, we eliminated things here and there, and most everything worked pretty well.
Like, for example, give me a sample of, say, an evening of Steely Dan. What sort of songs were you actually doing?
Well, we did a bunch of songs from Donald's album. We did 2 of my songs, and then we did various Steely Dan songs, including, let's see, let me try and run through it in my mind. We did Green Earrings and Bodhisattva and Josie and Deacon Blues and Black Friday and any number of others.
Were there like consistently shouts for certain songs that weren't on the set, weren't on the list?
No.
Really?
There were so many. I mean, we did so much. It was quite a long show that people were pretty well satisfied, I thought.
Mm-hmm. So all in all, the 6 weeks was an unqualified success then?
As far as I can tell, yeah.
Yeah, so we can look forward to more live performance down the line?
Well, we're thinking of, we're going to be in Japan in April.
Mm-hmm.
For 10 days.
Right.
And that's the only firm plan at this point.
Oh, really? That would just be a one-shot thing in Japan without any sort of trips to Australia or onwards?
Right. The logistics of traveling with a band that big are a little dicey, so, the Japanese markets were the only ones that were really able to support it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe at some future date we'll, either with a smaller band or in some other configuration that would make it more viable, we'll be able to play some of those other places. I'd like to go to Australia, for example, or to Asia.
Or just for the sake of the hardcore Steely Dan fan, what sort of song would you have liked to have? Would you like to have done live, but we're not able to because it just wouldn't fit into a live format?
Well, I think we could have done anything that we wanted to. We pretty much did what we wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So you just chose the songs that you thought would work best live.
Yeah, and that we were still the most interested in performing.
Yeah. Let's see if I can sort of pick your memory here, because I would imagine a lot of this stuff has kind of gotten lost in the brain cells. But going back, over the individual performances. A lot of people are very fond of the solos. Certain songs had just sort of legendary solos. Wayne Shorter, or Elliot Randall, or Steve Gadd, or whatever. Say for example, the first album, Reeling in the Years, the Elliot Randall part. He wasn't actually an official member of the band, right?
No, he wasn't. He was a friend of ours that we had worked with in New York a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, that worked so well on that song. I would imagine that.
Yeah, he just played the heck out of that one, didn't he?
I guess once you sort of taste that sort of success, you want more and more of the same kind of thing. So maybe that had an influence on the course you guys were to take. Because
well, it was always our intention, to have that just was part of our our idea from listening to jazz for all those years was that you should get, really great improvisers to play these little solos,
Mm-hmm. And from the first album, Gary Katz was producing it, right?
That's right.
Now, what sort of input did he have?
Well, he, the producer's job in pop records is a different job depending on who you're working with, right? It's a different job every time. And Gary just managed to, fit into Donald's and my working situation in a way so that he would do whatever needed to be done that we couldn't do ourselves. For example, he would often get us names of players to listen to, or and in the actual process of doing things, we would he was there all the time and had considerable input into how things were going.
Was he somewhat of a perfectionist himself?
I guess he was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for example, what sort of names did he bring into the fold there? What sort of people did he bring or suggest that you record with?
I can't remember specifically where we got names of people from, any given individuals. You know, he was just, Gary would talk to other producers around town and find out who was getting hired and who was doing this and who was doing that.
Mm-hmm. Was that his only gig, just working with you guys, or did he produce other people as well?
No, he produced other records. He's still active producing records. He just, a record that he produced with Laura Nero just came out.
Uh-huh. Give us some examples of how Steely Dan songs were composed. How exactly did you guys work as composers together? Like, what do you have like an example of a very typical Steely Dan song?
Oh, I think it was just the usual sort of collaboration. You know, one guy would come up with a piece and then show it to the other guy, and then we'd go from there.
Like, let's take like Asia, for example.
Well, Asia was actually not a typical example because it was such an elaborate thing. But the Asia thing we put together from pieces of various songs that we had written or been thinking about writing.
So that happened from time to time, where you'd like put stuff together like a suite.
Well, that would be the prime example of that, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. How about, say, in the older, did the compositional process change throughout the years, or has it basically remained the same?
You know, it's still pretty similar. I mean, it's kind of the problems don't really change that much. You know, that the difference now is that people write with drum machines and stuff like that. You know, and they're often working on a groove and an actual presentation at the same time.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the songs that were like easier to write? Like, you know, they sometimes talk about writing songs in terms of like, you know, falling off a log. It's so easy. What songs came together very easily?
They were all pretty easy.
Get out of here. I've got all the cassettes in front of me with all the names of them. I'm trying to pick out something here that would be like, I mean, like, for example, Bodhisattva, I would imagine, would be very easy.
Yeah, that was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Although actually arranging it was a bit more elaborate, but that was done with the band, you know.
Mm-hmm. It was a pretty ambitious effort for the time there.
Well, yeah, I guess it was.
You know, especially the playing there. It's very, very impressive guitar playing.
Well, we had those two great guitar players, you know.
Yeah, at the time, then, so it was Jeff Baxter and, was it Denny Diaz playing on that song?
Denny Diaz, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And, okay, well, like, say, for example, Ricky, Don't Lose That Number. Was that a very easy song to put together?
Yeah, that went pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of them are... Songwriting is a funny thing, and because it was two of us, you know, it makes it kind of go quicker, and so, you know, for the most part, we wouldn't labor over things that weren't coming, you know, we would just go on to work on something else.
Mm-hmm. What instrument do you compose with?
In those days, I used the guitar, you know, Donald would play the piano, and I had my guitar, although now I write a lot more on keyboards.
Mm-hmm. And Donald works only with keyboards?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the lyrics? Who's responsible for those?
Well, we both wrote the lyrics. We both wrote music and lyrics.
Uh-huh. It seems like people reading a bit too much meaning into those, but they were just sort of light entertainment as far as you were concerned, right?
No, they're whatever people want to make of them.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, hopefully they are entertaining, you know.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to these individual performances, the opening of Ricky, Don't Lose That Number has been cited as a nod to Horace Silver. Is that true?
Yeah, there was a famous Horace Silver record that had piano playing that doom, ding, ding, ding bass line.
Uh-huh. And Parker's band, A Salute to Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. How about, are there any other references we should know about?
Well, let me think about that.
Although I guess I'm cheating by asking you for the answers rather than seeking it out myself.
I guess that's true, but, you know, there's various, you know, it's hard to write music without sometimes, you know, writing something that is somewhat reminiscent of something else.
Mm-hmm. What about the idea of, like, marrying jazz chords with you know, pop textures? Did you have any, like, mentors you looked up to that you thought were doing that kind of thing and that you wanted to emulate?
No, we didn't. We felt like we were doing that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And not too many other people were then, or even now. I guess now it's you hear a lot more of that kind of stuff, but the trick then was that, you know, people hated anything that sounded like jazz, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had to do it in a way that that still sounded like rock.
Mm-hmm. Well, still to this day you hear the adjective Steely Dan-like track by so-and-so. So obviously you did tap into something unique.
Right.
Phil Woods on Dr. Wu from the Light album. Whose idea was it to use him?
Oh, well, Donald and I were both big Phil Woods fans, and we just thought who would be the... And Phil was very good at playing over that kind of diatonic chord progression that we had in there. You know, he's... most jazz players are not that good at playing just very major-sounding things like that. But we've heard him over the years do that really well.
Did he get that on the first take, or what exactly happened?
No, he did a few takes, but not very many. He was in and out of there so quick that it was ridiculous.
Because he's a great musician.
Because he's a great musician, and because jazz musicians are used to just doing, you know, a couple of takes. They play good every time, you know, and so it was no problem.
And it's always different, and it's always good every time they play.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. How about on Chain Lightning? Now, who's playing guitar on that?
Oh, that was Rick Derringer.
And was one of the guitarists, right? It's like, you know, they trade off, don't they?
No, it's just him.
It's just him.
There's one soloist, yeah.
Uh-huh. And he gets off a sizzler there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That was the first time you had worked with him, right?
No, we'd worked with him before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We did demos back in New York with him, and that was probably the first Steely Dan record he played on.
Yeah, right, exactly. How was he to work with?
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very hard worker, very quick study.
Mm-hmm.
Solid rhythm player, good lead player, good sound.
Pardon my ignorance here, but you've been credited with some of the guitar parts, right?
Some of the guitar solos and so on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I played a few of them.
For example, which ones?
Well, I played Black Friday and Bad Sneakers, and I played Pretzel Logic, and then I think I did most of the stuff on the Asia album.
Like Black Friday and Bad Sneakers, kind of those two-string bends there, very memorable.
Yeah, two-string bends.
Let me see here. The albums, actually, it kind of surprises a lot of fans when we think back, because there are only 7 of them. And
I know. What the hell happened? Gee, it took so long to do them, too.
And I guess it must have been a benefit in terms of putting together a box set, because you just sort of stick everything into one box and you're done.
Well, and what's more, there wasn't really much else left over that we wanted to put out there, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I mean, you guys weren't exactly that prolific, so there isn't mysterious stuff still sitting around in the can, is there?
Well, not that's really worth presenting to anybody.
Why would it not be worth presenting? It's just demo.
Because we never finished it. You know, all the things we finished are there.
So you just have rough demos in the can?
Yeah, you know, or unfinished tracks or various things like that.
I noticed that the demo of Everyone's Gone to the Movies is supposed to be on the box set. Why that particular one?
Well, it wasn't a demo. It was actually done for release, and that was one of the few things that were finished that still seemed kind of interesting.
That's the only unreleased track on the collection, or what's this, Here at the Western World? I've never heard of that one.
Here at the Western World was not on any of the albums, but it was on a previous best of album.
Oh, I see.
There was a track left over from Asia.
And then there's the live version of Bodhisattva.
Right, which was also on a previous collection.
Right. But those 3 tracks are basically the only non-regular album cuts, right?
That's right.
Now, nothing has been remixed or anything? What exactly is the deal?
No, nothing's been remixed. All of the stuff was remastered about 2 years ago to get it sounding as good as we could, and that's it.
But those remastered tracks have not been... Those aren't the CD versions that are out now?
Yes, they are, I believe.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it seems like a lot of us already own those, so why would we go and want to get a box set then?
Exactly.
This must be for maybe the newer fan, or perhaps the guy who's been putting off buying the CDs.
Well, just between you and me, Steve, our record company, MCA Records, we discovered had the right to do a box set whether we wanted them to or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
and they decided they were going to do it, and we were able to stall them off as long as we possibly could. And so, our argument being roughly the same. Actually, a couple years ago, we wanted to do it, but they didn't want to do it. And then later, we thought about it some more and decided we didn't want to do it either. When we actually looked for other new stuff to put in there, we couldn't come up with much of anything, right? And so we figured, well, what's the point, right? But they subsequently decided they wanted to do it anyway. So we, wrote some little program notes and stuff and did our best to spruce it up.
I see. Is there a lot of these sort of trivia in your notes here, like, who did what and how it was and how you came about to work with them and stuff like that?
No.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get from you, to sort of perk up the interest of the Steely Dan freaks out there, of which there.
Well, there's some old pictures. There's there's some program notes, and there's a swell little opening piece that Donald and I wrote.
Wayne Shorter and Steve Gadd. I guess Asia was the first Steely Dan album they worked on, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was, I guess I was right after Jeff Porcaro had left. I think he played on Royal Scam, and then he left, right?
Well, he was never really in the band. We didn't have a band at that point. And Jeff continued to play on later things, too.
But the match with Gadd, though, was a real magical one.
Yeah, it was, for those particular ones that that we were able to get, yeah.
How did that come about? Why did you sign up Steve Gadd?
Oh, well, Steve Gadd was on all these other records, and every time you ask somebody in New York who was good at this or good at that, the answer was always Steve Gadd. He can do everything.
Right. And when he actually sat down and played with you guys, how did it feel?
Incredible.
Yeah.
He was a great drummer. He is a great drummer.
What distinguishes him from other drummers, though? What is it about Gadd that's so magical?
Well, he had incredible technical ability, of course, great sound, great reader. He would just read the chart, and play the chart like he'd been playing it for years. Asia was like a second take or a third take or something, and it was a huge 7-page chart, And he listened to other players, Steve Gadd had pretty much everything that you'd want a drummer to have.
How about Wayne Shorter? People would sort of raise their eyebrows and think, ooh, difficult, serious jazz dude. Was he that way at all?
No, he was delightful. He was very easy to work with, very thoughtful and earnest, and did a great job in a very short period of time.
I read in the musician interview that he wrote out the scales there to aid his performance on the song Asia.
Yeah, I guess he did.
Is that rather unusual for a player of his caliber?
Well, I remember talking to him about it at the time, and he was trying to approach it in a different way than a bebop player would typically approach something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that was a useful way to look at it. You know, he realized immediately that what the piece of music was. You know, and so he didn't want to do he didn't want to do something inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Jay Graydon on Peg, another memorable solo. How did the involvement with Jay come about?
Well, we had already tried every other guitar player we knew to play that solo, and then we heard about Jay.
Uh-huh. Who else had played it?
Oh, I played it several times.
Mm-hmm.
Elliot played it. Rick Zaringer played it. Robin Ford took a whack at it. Some guy whose name I can't remember now that was a friend of Victor Feldman's.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think Larry or Dean ever did, but
Larry Carlson,
you know,
Parks. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think they did, but 7 or 8 guys, you know, came in and tried to play that. And for some reason, we never got anything that we thought was really great.
How did his name come up, though, Jay Graydon? He was not really that well known at the time.
He was known in town.
I see. Uh-huh. It's interesting because he's built a very dedicated following here in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Not on the basis of that solo alone, of course, but you know his production work, his guitar playing with other people as well.
Right. No, he's a great musician.
Yeah, yeah. Now Larry Carlton has played quite a bit with you guys and with Donald solo.
Uh-huh.
When did you first hook up with him?
I think for the around the time of the Royal Scam album.
Mm-hmm.
He, is another one of those guys that everybody raved about all the time in town. We finally sat down and did some stuff with him, and it came out great.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a musician was he to work with? I mean, did he get stuff right the first time, or did he have to work on it, or?
Well, with guitar solos, you usually have to work a little harder because the guitar players were coming from a slightly different, musical perspective. That it wasn't quite so obvious how to approach things and so on for them as it was for a sax player or something, And also because of their background, they're mostly studio guys. They're used to doing things over and over again. Or they understand the idea of perfecting something like that. And Larry was excellent, consummate musician. Good reader, good player, good rhythm player, good lead player. Very rarely clammed or anything like that.
Did you always take a crack at these solos first of all, and then if you felt you were...
No, most of them we got other people to do, and the ones that I ended up doing were just things that either we were having a hard time with other people getting them, or it seemed like it was just the sort of thing where I'd be able to, get something going.
I can recall reading years ago Mark Knopfler describing his experience with you guys as a little bit less than pleasant, saying like how you sort of rushed him through the process and you seemed like a little bit too businesslike. What actually happened during that gig?
We were there for hours and hours. I don't know. I can't imagine that he would have said that. Because not only did we give him a tape in advance, which we don't usually do, but we were there for, that was all we did that night, was that one guitar solo.
Which really...
And the track,
But I mean...
So it must have taken 3-4 hours at least.
Which is unusually long then, huh?
Not necessarily, but it's certainly not. You wouldn't say that you were rushing anybody through it if they took 3 or 4 hours to play, 3 minutes of music.
Yeah, but I mean, the result was magical. That's one of the best cuts on the album, I think.
Oh, well, yeah, I thought it came out well. I know he felt a little alienated at the session, for one reason or another. I think he was, I mean, I've heard about this interview before. I haven't actually read it, but I think he probably felt like, I remember when he came in, he had the tape, right, and he couldn't play a lot of the chords in the song, and especially in the little instrumental section, right? He didn't know all those chords and was a little worried about that. But of course, he wasn't meant to play in that section anyway, so that didn't matter. So that kind of put him at ease. But he may have been a little wound up for it in advance or something like that.
It also might be that all the other guys that we've talked about are like sort of studio guns who are used to sort of walking in and...
Right, and they're readers and so on, and you could talk to them from the perspective of jazz, and it was a little harder to communicate with Mark, I mean, because there wasn't as much musical common ground as there might have been with the people we usually were working with.
Were you guys fans of Dire Straits, or did you just particularly like his sound?
Well, we had heard that first Dire Straits record, and he sounded great on that.
Yeah, so you guys took the initiative in contacting him.
Yeah, Gary had gotten an early copy of the Dire Straits album, so we had heard it before it came out. And so we had it in mind that at some point we might ask him to do something.
Here's a real trivia category here, but who has wanted to work with you guys that for one reason or another you weren't able to work with? Like, for example, some guy, a well-known established musician, dreams about working with Steely Dan, but it just...
I don't know the answer to that.
Really? There's never been an instance of that, or it's just kind of awkward to talk about?
Nothing really comes to mind.
I'm sure there must have been a lot of people just, dying to get in on a session, though.
Well, maybe so, but I can't think of anybody in response to that.
How about people that you wanted to work with, but you weren't able to land?
Well, from time to time you'd want to work with somebody and they just weren't around or something. I remember we wanted to have Alan Holdsworth play on some stuff years and years ago before anybody knew who he was, really. And we found out he was in Scotland, it wasn't worth flying him from Scotland to Los Angeles to play a guitar solo. And, so something like that would happen, or, dead people, of course.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Guys who are already dead,
So just Alan Holdsworth, no other names come to mind? How about say other sax players or keyboard players or...
Well, it took a long time to get Wayne to come down.
Because he was busy with Weather Report?
Either that or I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe he was skeptical that it would be something musically interesting to him. But we finally did get him to do it. I think you could get, you could at least ask almost anybody.
Yeah, well, actually, thinking back in retrospect, though, Asia, I think, broke new ground. It sort of established a new era for Steely Dan. So, it was quite a departure from the stuff before it.
Well, it was, as people are always remarking, it was a bit jazzier. We were definitely going in that direction.
Yeah, actually, I was looking back over the list of the 7 albums there, and I guess I tend to clump the first 3 together. Can't Buy a Thrill, Countdown to Ecstasy, and Pretzel Logic.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it seems to me that Katie Lied was just sort of a whole different ballgame.
Well, we didn't have the band anymore.
Right.
We weren't even pretending to have the band anymore.
Right. And I don't know, the songs just seemed to be bigger. Everything seemed like it was more bigger and more important.
Well, we were becoming more self-important with every passing day.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
A good and a bad thing. Yeah.
Well, I guess you were taking yourselves a little more seriously. That's.
Well, we always took ourselves seriously, but we just, I guess we were just evolving, progressing. A natural progression of some sort was taking place.
Maybe also on Katie Lied, the solos became a lot more important. It's like they really became.
Well, no, the solos I think were always important for us anyway.
So, in that sense, there wasn't that big a difference.
Maybe we were just getting better at it or something. Although I don't know, I thought some of the early ones had good solos too.
But looking back on the albums there, do you have any, like, particular favorites? I mean, or do they all just... Are they hard?
I don't ever listen to them, to tell you the truth.
Uh-huh.
I heard them so many times when I was making them that it would be hard to imagine why I would want to put one on now.
You've long since OD'd.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear them on the radio, and, like, when you come across your old stuff, what does it sound like?
Oh, yeah. It usually sounds pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I get a kind of a chuckle out of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do you know who's, like, listening to this stuff now? Are there new fans these days? Were there younger kids showing up at the shows?
I'd say the shows were a mixture, but they were predominantly a little older, you know?
People who had been there when the original stuff came out?
Yeah, I think so.
Uh-huh. Do you think anybody's followed up in the tradition of Steely Dan, sort of mirroring jazz chords and pop textures or rock textures or whatever you want to call it?
Not really. I've never really heard anything that where I really felt like, you know, they were continuing what we were doing.
Was there anything that sort of consciously sounded like a nod to Steely Dan?
Every once in a while I hear something, a little piece of something, but for the most part, no. I don't think most people want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now, you know, jazz is like, once again, you know, the jazz is a very alien element in most pop music.
Mm-hmm.
An unwelcome element.
Do you think so, huh?
That's the way it seems to me, except for funk, you know, the various funk things. And then generally speaking, some of the commercial and funk stuff that they do, dance kind of stuff,
mm-hmm.
is very keyboard player driven. That has a lot more jazz chords in it
mm-hmm.
than they used to. But they still are never very adventurous, it seems.
How about jazz people? How have they reacted to Steely Dan always? Are they of the impression that Steely Dan is the one pop act that's acceptable, or have they been sort of...
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think they really give a damn about anything but jazz.
Mm-hmm. I believe it was in 1978 that Woody Herman's Thundering Herd.
Uh-huh.
I guess they recorded like 4 or 5 of your songs under your supervision.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if... we witnessed it. I wouldn't say we supervised it.
Uh-huh. Well, how did that work out?
Well, it was great. You know, they had 4 or 5 different arrangers come in, and each one did a tune. Victor Feldman did a tune, and Joe Roccasano did one,
mm-hmm.
and so on. And, you know, there was the Woody Herman Orchestra playing these charts. It was great.
And you've had occasion to work with a lot of jazz artists, as you've mentioned. What sort of stuff have they had to say about Steely Dan?
Well, you know, they always seem appreciative of the fact that, you know, there is... Our music has a certain level of harmonic sophistication, and that we've had such good players over the years play on our records.
Mm-hmm. Donald Fagen's solo stuff. There've only been 2 albums so far. Or would you care to dispute that point?
No, I think it's a logical continuation of what we were doing.
Mm-hmm. Now, when he was doing that stuff, he made a point of excluding you from the...
No, when we did the first album, I had moved to Hawaii.
Right.
And we were basically, you know, burned out on working with each other at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite natural for him to exclude me from it.
Yeah, what about for the second one there? You had already...
Well, the second one I produced.
Oh, I see. Okay, excuse my ignorance on that one. What exactly did you get back together again? I mean, how long had you been in Hawaii before you were able to hook up?
Oh, well, I talked to him, you know, off and on. I mean, we never really lost touch with each other or anything.
Mm-hmm. And when exactly did you, like, sit down together to start writing?
I think maybe 85 or something like that.
Uh-huh. How did that come about? Was it just a natural progression, you know?
Yeah, Donald was thinking about doing a second record at that point, and he had kind of was stuck and didn't know what he wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
And so we got together and we wrote some songs, but unfortunately that didn't really unstick him.
Yeah, what happened to those songs that you wrote at that time?
Well, one of them is on the Cringemaker, and the rest of them were either unfinished or nothing happened to them.
So they're just going to be left for dead then, huh?
yeah, you know, there were a lot of songs. We wrote many more songs than we were able to record.
But none were up to snuff.
Well, we couldn't get a track on them, or you know, we lost interest in them.
But now that you guys have come full circle, I guess that when I say full circle, I mean breaking up, doing solo work or production work on the side, then doing a revival project, and then going out on tour with Steely Dan again. Is there a Dan album in the offing?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
We'll
have to see what happens. You know.
Really? Well, I mean, you had on this on this last tour here, you didn't do any new Steely Dan tracks per se, like you were doing stuff from the upcoming Walter Becker album, but no new.
That was the only unrecorded stuff that we did.
But is there stuff in the works right now that could possibly?
No, we haven't really. We've talked about different things we could work on. We've had some ideas, but you know, it remains to be seen how far we get with them.
So the plan at this point then is just the Japan thing and nothing else?
That's it.
Really? So I mean, it's just a clean slate right now.
Yeah, I'm going to finish my record. Donald, I'm sure, will be writing as usual, and we'll see what happens.
How is the back catalog doing? Does it still sell briskly?
Yeah, it does amazingly well. Much better than I would have ever imagined.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like consistently. I mean, it's just
consistently through the years. You know, all of the production work that I've done. If I could have easily just not done anything and just lived on Steely Dan royalties.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you ever hear from your fans? Do you ever get feedback?
All the time. I meet people who say something to me or whatever.
I mean, it must be kind of hard to recognize you. We don't really necessarily...
Well, people here in Hawaii know who I am.
Oh, is that right?
And, you know, there's been a few magazine articles with my picture on them and so on, so people recognize me from time to time.
And what kind of things do they tell you? What sort of feedback do you get?
It's all very, very good. People don't stop to say something to you unless it's something good, you know. Nobody ever says, "Oh yeah, you guys were mediocre," you know.
Well, I guess they get mad that you broke up years ago and you didn't make more albums.
If so, they haven't mentioned it.
Yeah. Okay, Walter. Well, I think I've pretty much run through my list of rather detailed questions here.
And a nice list it was too.
I hope we can put together a decent interview here and get the fans out there to buy that box set.
Yeah, and get them jacked up for the box set and for the shows, you know, in April.
Now, the lineup for the shows in April are exactly the same as the one you just outlined for me.
Yeah, it'll be exactly that same band, the same show.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well,
all right.
Thank you very much. And
okay, have a good evening.
Look forward to seeing you when you get out here.